please. Ray, can you leave us with a pledge of allegiance?
Absolutely. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I hereby call to order the July 19th hearing of the City of Prescott Board of Adjustment. This is an open public hearing. This hearing is being recorded and televised by the City of Prescott and, in some instances, by representatives of the public media. This public hearing may be rebroadcast on local cable television and or radio stations. The number of board members present today is 6. It will require 4 votes for a majority. During the hearing, the effort will be made to give all interested parties an opportunity to be heard. All parties wishing to be heard on an issue are required to raise their hand, be recognized by the chairman prior to speaking. Speakers will be expected to state their name and address for the record so that we may know who is speaking and be able to contact them at a later date if necessary. First item on the agenda this morning, the board members present this morning, to my left, Steve Silvernail. To my immediate right is Johnny Forker, Ray Everett, Patty Braden, Tony Teeters. I'm James DiRienzo, the chair. We have Darla Eastman, our recording secretary, and we have Katie Peterson, who will be giving us the presentation this morning. Recognizing Jim Lamerson, our councilman, and George Sheets from Planning and Zoning. Okay, first item on the agenda, approval of the May 17, 2018 minutes. Any discussion on the minutes? Any revisions?
Steve said he's going to do that.
No, I haven't. I've read the minutes and I find them quite accurate. I move to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a first and second. Any other further discussion on the minutes? If not, I call for a vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Votes carried. Next item on the agenda is variance 18007. Katie.
Good morning, board members. So this first item is the APS site located at 300 North Granite Street. This is, the number is VAR 18-007.
To dim the lights, Katie?
How's that, Katie?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay, so this is the existing site. So on the map here, you'll see where the existing facility is located on the site. The site itself consists of these 2 parcels. The most western parcel is zoned industrial light. That small eastern parcel is zoned natural open space. The entire site has been used for the APS facility currently, and it's currently fenced in with a chain link fence. So the existing facility is where you see there with the white arrow. The new facility that they'll be where they'll be moving a lot of equipment is where they're proposing a new wall. So today's request is for a variance in the wall height. The maximum height of wall allowed by the code for an industrial use is 8 feet. So they're requesting a 10 to 11 foot wall height, and instead of a fence, a wall for to better screen the facility from surrounding properties. Here is the site plan that they provided. You can see the existing facility, the new facility, and then the proposed wall, which would, on the west side of it, would be between the existing facility and where the new facility is. It would extend north to almost along that property line to the north, and then over to the eastern property line. So it's this this heavy line here. So it goes up along the northern lot lines and then down along that eastern NOS zone lot, along the east side, and then on the south side along there. They're proposing, they'll be having 3 gates, one on the south, one on the east, and then one on the west. So the proposal today, or what they're asking for, is an increased wall height to 10 to 11 feet with the variance. The variance criteria, extraordinary conditions, there are no significant factors. There's a different elevation, so from the street level down, they're at a lower grade. Substantial detriment to health or safety. The proposed height, the reason they're proposing increased height is to improve safety and welfare, which is one of the criteria we look at. So there's no detrimental effect for with having an increased wall height, but actually improved safety. It's not really, the surrounding lots, there's one other lot bordering it that's industrial light. The other zones are commercial and open space zones, some of the city-owned property to the north and east. So it's a different sort of use than surrounding lots. It's an existing and proposed use. There is the public benefit of utilities. General plan, it's the requested variances in compliance with the general plan. The IL zone and utility use is, again, a different safety, and they have different safety and screening needs than surrounding uses and lots. And that's the basic information. I have renderings that I believe were included in your application packet, so if you'd like me to put those up, I can put up renderings of the wall. At this point, it's pretty general. They're proposing the 10-foot block wall with some features at the top that would prevent climbing. And I can answer questions if you have them. And the applicant, I believe, is here too, so they can answer questions if you have any other questions for them.
Is there any, are there any questions from the board to the staff? I have one question, Katie.
Yes.
The top of the wall, you're saying it has some deterrent material for climbing? What is that material? Glass, metal, or?
I think the plans didn't include that level of detail, but they might be able to answer that question if you'd like. They might have a better idea. So some of those details we would look at once they submit the building permit application. Then we'll ask for more detail on those kinds of features. On the plans, it just has a note indicating that there's a deterrent at the top of the wall.
Okay. Is the applicant here this morning? Would you like to come in and state your name and address for the record, please?
Chairman and board members, my name is Ryan Weed. I work with Cohen Van Loo Engineering out of Phoenix. Our address is 4550 North 12th Street in Phoenix. We assist APS through these types of procedures with public hearings and variance requests. I can answer your question specifically about the turn on the top. It's look like little pyramids or little triangles. They stick up about 2 inches, and they are fairly sharp and pointed. But they're not visible from the ground level given the height of the wall, because they only stick up a few inches. If you're standing adjacent to the wall, you can't see them. Obviously, if you were above the wall height, due to the terrain surrounding the project, that's easily done. You end up with, you could see a little row of little triangles or little pyramids sticking up. But it's definitely not something that's very, it looks much better than the razor wire that surrounds the site today.
Are these individual triangle metals, are they stuck in the cement?
Yes, they're bolted to the top of the wall.
Oh,
So
okay.
I believe they come in like 6 or 8 foot lengths,
Okay.
and then they're bolted or screwed into the top of the wall, and then they would surround the perimeter.
Great.
So it's really a climbing preventative measure that I believe they require probably more from an insurance perspective than anything else.
Great. Any other questions for the applicant on the board? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for staff, or is there any more discussion on the variance? I call for a motion.
I would move to approve the variance for APS.
We have a first and second. Any other further discussion on the motion? If not, a call for a vote. All in favor? Oh, hold on for a second. Sir?
I'm John Crandall, resident here of Prescott for a number of years. I live at 1820 West Thumb Butte Road. I have property on Sonora Drive, and I'm a little bit concerned because we're already looking at 8 to 10 feet of retainer wall, which is holding up the site, and then we have another 8 foot of chain link with razor wire on top of it, and now they're going up another 2 feet. We already have a real industrial presence of APS in our neighborhood on Sonora Drive, and they have not really been what I would call a good neighbor because they own a large parcel tract of property on the creek, which they do no maintenance on, and it becomes essentially a haven for the homeless, the people from Hillside who just want to find a place to crash in the woods. It's become an issue where, because of the lack of visibility or the neighborhood being able to see what's going on, there's already an influence of the homeless living in that corridor. And I firmly resist the idea of further industrializing that area to look like the border wall in Mexico or a prison or whatever. I think that we need to have a little bit more of a interplay between the city and APS as to what's going on with that portion of the bike trail or whatever you call it, green space, instead of just them building a wall so that out of sight is out of mind. And so that's my only concern. Thank you.
Okay, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yes.
So you are certainly aware of the safety considerations for those climbing over.
I'm aware of those safety
Yeah.
considerations, but I have not yet heard that there's been a present problem with, you got to climb out of the creek almost 8 feet to get to where the no-climb chain link fence with the razor wire is now. I haven't heard of any breaches of that security. If it's a homeland security issue or something like that where there's sensitive equipment being placed, I could understand that, and I understand the wall is not going to circumference the whole property. So, I'm just saying it's just establishing another presence of less than desirable, creekside amenities. It's already a dangerous place. It's already a scary place. And like I said, it just offers another more of a graffiti wall if it becomes available to the public.
Thank you very much. Would the applicant like to respond to that?
Can answer any questions the board might have. And just to bring up a couple points that the resident mentioned, the existing masonry retaining wall that is north, if you want to bring up the map, Katie, I can point out a couple things. So there's an existing masonry retaining wall that's closest to the creek. That is a retaining wall that was constructed to help retain the floodplain from the river or the creek. So that's what that's serving a purpose. That doesn't have anything to do with security. Now, it may, by default, have a security benefit of keeping folks from crossing the creek or coming around from the substation from the north. However, and the resident's correct, there is an existing, I think it's a 6 foot tall chain link fence with the razor wire that is above that retaining wall. That existing chain link fence with razor wire would be removed as a part of our project. We don't need retaining wall, razor wire, and a masonry wall. So we'd want to remove that existing chain link fence as a part of what we believe would help sort of beautify the area a little bit, in that the wall will have a better aesthetic appeal than the razor wire and chain link fence. And so that would be what's occurring there along the north side and as well as along the east side of the project.
Has APS had any issues with the homeless or those who would like to live next to and adjacent to your particular wall?
At this site, we haven't, being just at the site before we came here, we didn't notice any homeless population, but I imagine there may be folks that find that area fairly nice to camp in, illegally, but that would be to the east and into the north of the project. The substation will, encumbrance the area that they currently own, that APS currently owns. What happens to the east of that, of the new wall within the other portions of the open space area really are probably more of a, I assume, a police, something that the police.
So you're not affecting that particular portion where the homeless appear to place their.
I don't have an exact, if you'd show me on a map maybe where the homeless are hanging out, we could let you know whether or not we're helping, but I think most of that's probably occurring to the east of the substation because it's outside the existing substation perimeter It's not something that we obviously, you know, as you can see, there's quite a bit of open space that's not improved. So the area that's improved today, inside the red box where the asphalt is, that's the future area that we are, that would be surrounded by the wall. So the natural area that is the trail system to the east of our project, we do not own and would not have any, I believe, responsibility to help handle homeless population living there.
Thank you very much.
Just to add one point, we believe the new wall is much more aesthetic and obviously has the same effect as an 8-foot chain link fence, but does it in a nicer way.
Any other further comments or questions from the board?
This is a substation, a power distribution center?
Yes, sir.
Why not 12 feet? I have nothing else.
Anyone else on the board with the applicant? Thank you very much. So, yes, Katie?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify that, again, today's request is just for variance to the wall height that's allowed by right in the code. The new facility project itself would be applying for building permits. They did come to meet with us about the project site in general for pre-application conference. So they will be coming back. There'll be more opportunities to discuss the site in general if that's a concern. So today's focus was, it's just on the variance request for the wall height.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. Any other further discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Anything that we can do to secure our power distribution centers, I think is a good thing. And to keep people out of there for their own safety is even, is a bonus, if you ask me. I support the motion.
Any other comment from the board? Okay, I call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Motion's carried. Okay. Second item on the agenda this morning is variance 18-008. Katie.
Okay, this project number VAR 18-008 is regarding proposed rear yard setback at 151 East Soaring Avenue. This is a single-family 18-zoned lot in the Estancia de Prescott subdivision, where the setbacks are 25 feet each in the front and back, 7 feet on the sides, and 15 feet on the corner side. This lot is on a corner. The site features a slope, so there's a slope down from the street. There's a drainage easement through the center, running roughly north to south. There's also a slope utility easement on the south and east lot lines. And the corner lot means that they've got that corner setback 15 feet on one side. So the request is for a rear yard setback reduction from the 25 feet to proposed 14 feet to allow a building pad. This is the plat map. So if you look at where the front lot line is, there's the easement along that eastern side and down along the south, and then also the 20-foot drainage easement roughly through the center from north to south. They're proposing a building pad to the west of that drainage easement. So they would need the variance to the rear yard setback to give them a little more room there in the rear. The aerial photo, you can see where the natural drainage is. So we've had recently another project that came in with a similar location of a drainage easement, similar width like this, also on a corner. So this is similar to one that came before the board recently. So there's that 10-foot easement on the east and south, and 20-foot easement there on that eastern third to a half portion of the site. And you can see there on the west, on the left, the 25-foot setback that would be required. This is a photo of the site. So this is the view southwest with the front there on the left, and on the right, the requested rear setback reduction area that they are asking for. And the variance criteria, it's a corner lot with that corner setback, multiple easements, the one through the center, and then along the south and east. The rear setback would allow adequate emergency access, so that's not a concern. Special privileges. They've got the lot easements and setback, limited buildable pad area. Other lots have similar slope and easement features. It's in compliance with the general plan, and their subdivision, similar to the last case we had like this, has a minimum house size of 2,500 square feet. So what they're proposing is a 2,794 square foot house in compliance with their subdivision. So it would be in character with the neighborhood. And I can answer any questions.
We have any questions for staff?
I have one.
Please
The
do.
rear yard area, I assume that that's going to be excavated? It's
Um,
on a hill?
I'm assuming they would need to, I'm not sure what their plans are yet. We haven't received plans for this one. I'm assuming they would probably need to do some grading because of that slope. I'll pull up the right.
I'd like to make a comment about homeowners that have items like this in their property, easements. They can't adjust the easement. Once the easement is there, you can't decide you're going to block it up to divert water to another neighbor. You just can't do that. So basically, when an applicant comes in and says that he has an issue with his site plan, and he's got to put his house somewhere on there, we normally give him relief, because it's just a natural way of doing things. And it's important for us to understand that. It's not his fault that the easement is through there. It's a way to divert some of the water, so he can't adjust it. So in most cases, we would give that particular variance.
Right. This is the kind of case that variances were created for.
Yeah,
So-
and but it's very important to understand that. We can't have the guy just plow over that easement. You can't do it. Okay, so are there any, is the applicant here this morning? Yes, sir, come on up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Tom Terry, Distinctive Homes. I was the architect on this. My address is P.O. Box 3988, Prescott, Arizona. And to answer your questions on what we would like to do on the pad, we're planning on building up the house to create a level pad up a little higher near the back of the property was what we were planning on doing. So I think Katie represented us well, and it's just a little tight. We just need a little relief on that back setback if we could. So any questions?
Any questions from staff for the applicant? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further discussion or questions for staff? If not, I entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve variance 18-008.
Second.
We have a first and second on the floor. Is there any further discussion on the motion? If not, I call for the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. It's carried. Congratulations. The last item on the agenda is any further for the good of the order. If none, meeting's adjourned.